Got a developing story here. British Magistrate Court sitting in Oxbridge has remanded a former Nigeria Deputy Senate President Ekweremadu and his wife, Beatrice Ekweremadu, in custody after their arraignment for allegedly conspiring with others to bring a child to the United Kingdom to harvest organs. The charge sheet accused Ekweremadu of arraigning or facilitating travel of another person with a view to exploitation between August 2021 and May 5th, 2022 within the jurisdiction of the court with a view to exploit the person contrary to Section 2, Subsection 1 and Section 5, Subsection 1 of the Modern Slavery Act 2015. Ekweremadu's wife was also accused of conspiring to arrange or facilitate travel of another person with a view to exploitation. All right, Arise international correspondent Adefemi Akisa joins us live in London. Adefemi, good afternoon to you. Thanks so much for joining us. Can you give us a rundown of what has transpired so far from the courthouse?
Thank you, Rotus. It's a very concerning story. We sat in on the hearing today where both Ekweremadu's family, Ike, and his wife Beatrice both appeared, identified themselves. There was a little bit of some shakiness in terms of their confirmed London address, but that was finally done. Essentially, the charges against them allege that they conspired to bring a child over from Nigeria to the United Kingdom with the intention of harvesting their organs. Now, the prosecution spoke at length, gave its own side of the background, and that's what I'm going to share with you. Essentially, it's believed that the Ekweremadus brought a 15-year-old boy over from Nigeria, a boy who, according to the prosecutor, was homeless in Nigeria, and brought him under the pretense of exposing him to a better life. It's believed that the family procured a passport for him that showed his age as being 21 years old, though it later emerged that he was in fact 15 years old. And when that happened, when he disclosed his alleged correct age to medical professionals at the Royal Free Hospital, the initial plan for this organ transfer was cancelled. Now, what we've also found out is that the Ekweremadu's daughter has serious illnesses as it pertains to a kidney and has been on dialysis for quite some time. So it's believed that she currently still is in need of a kidney transplant. And according to the prosecution, the plan of the defendants was to use an organ harvested from this boy who it's believed is 15 years old, although he was brought into the country under false pretenses and brought into the country on a passport that named his age as being 21 years old. Now, it is still very much early on in the case. This was just the background that the prosecution was giving to the courts, to the magistrates, and the defense lawyers. There was a defense lawyer for Mr. Ike, Ekweremadu himself, and that of Beatrice's wife. They both had separate legal representation, but essentially they both wanted to be released from custody and have their persons kept in the UK while they await the next part of this case. Now, their legal representatives did say that they had already surrendered their passports, had been given serious status as pertains to their immigration, so they wouldn't represent a flight risk, according to their lawyers. But the magistrate, who took around 10 minutes to deliberate before coming back, disagreed with that option and did believe the defendants to be flight risks, and as a result have kept them in custody until the next trial date, which will be the July the 7th. Some more information, Rotus. It's believed that when the couple were arrested, this was just on Tuesday, the 21st of June, they were arrested at Heathrow Airport on their way to Istanbul, Turkey. And it's believed that they were traveling to Turkey in order to procure another organ, because they were unable to harvest the organ of this now child who forms the backbone of the case that we're hearing. And when Mr. Ekweremadu was arrested, it's believed that there was $20,000 he had in his possession, which has also been seized by the court. Going back to the alleged child and the alleged victim of this case, it's believed that when he truthfully disclosed his age to the doctor at the Royal Free Hospital. That doctor obviously cancelled the procedure, and he was taken back into the custody of the family, who it's believed treated him, according to the prosecution, like a slave, made him sleep on the sofa until he escaped from that home, slept rough for 2 days, and then found his way into a police station. And that's when the police investigation started. And it's from that police investigation which led to the arrest of the Ekweremadus at Heathrow Airport on Tuesday. And today was their first public hearing, in which we now know has resulted in them being denied bail, and they're being kept in custody until the next court date, which is the 7th of July, Rotus.
Gosh, Adifemi, thank you so much for bringing us up to date. This is it sounds almost like a film, but this is very much real life. So we've learned that the court has remanded them. Is that where you're standing in front of right now? Could you offer more clarity on where they are where they were remanded?
Absolutely. So as it stands, it's not clear where they are being remanded to, which prison, if that is the case, that they've been taken to, but they were removed from the courtroom. Just behind me, we are stood, of course, outside Uxbridge Magistrate Court. In terms of the geography of London, this courtroom is not too far from Heathrow Airport. So it's loosely believed that when they were arrested on the grounds of the airport, this would be the closest magistrate court, or the court that was able to take this case today. And it's believed that this will be the scene for the next hearing, which will be July 7th. So we are stood outside Uxbridge Magistrate Court, and we sat inside during the entire hearing, where we saw both defendants, Ike and Beatrice Ekweremadu, come out into the court. They did not say anything other than to confirm their names. There was a bit of a discrepancy as it pertains to their address. But it is believed that they have been in the country for quite some time. They are, of course, also Nigerian nationals. They have 4 children, 3 of whom are residents in the United Kingdom. One of their children, Prince, was in court today and declined to give any public comment to any of the press who were present in the courtroom. He spoke at length with his mother's legal defender before he emerged from the courtroom about an hour ago. Again, not giving any type of comment to the police, to the press. We sat right behind him during the bail hearing. His mother, as I said, neither of the defendants spoke other than identifying themselves and giving their addresses. But his mum did have her head in her hands for quite a significant part of the hearing while they were hearing the description from the prosecution and, of course, the defense. Now, at the very beginning part of this hearing, there was a little bit of going back between jurisdiction, because obviously this case allegedly starts in Nigeria, where this boy allegedly was brought into the UK under false pretenses. So the prosecution did want consent from the Attorney General to prove that the Crown Prosecution Service could prosecute this case, and that's what we're waiting on, just that little bit of clarification. But as it stands now, it is both of those defendants, the former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu and his wife Beatrice, remain in custody tonight. And that's believed to be where they're going to remain until the 7th of July, Rotus.
Thanks, Adifemi. So what happens on the 7th of July? If they're found guilty, I mean, they're not UK citizens, do they get extradited back here? I mean, what do they get fined, imprisoned? I mean, to the best of your knowledge, what happens next?
It is very, very early days yet. It's also worth noting that this hasn't even been a point where either party has entered any type of plea. What we have here is a hearing for bail. They've been arrested by the police, and this is their first court appearance, and they've sought to try and be released into their own recognizance, to be able to be released, at home, and that wasn't the case. Their lawyers proposed the idea of them being tagged electronically. They had already surrendered their passports and their funds. Their defenders saying that they did not pose any flight risks. But as we've heard, the magistrates didn't agree, and they are going to remain here. When we do come back to court on the 7th of July, then it's expected that there will be a bit more clarity as it pertains to the Attorney General's decision whether or not consent will be given and how this works, because the bulk of this case, of these alleged crimes, have taken place within the United Kingdom, and they both obviously have legal reasons to be in the country. So at this point, it's very unclear what specifically the immigration status is, other than the fact that we know that their passports have been surrendered to immigration authorities and they're going to stay in the care of the United Kingdom for the foreseeable future, or at least until July the 7th. But it is very early days, Rotus. It's not a point where they're giving any type of guilty or non-guilty pleas. This is just a formal reading of the charge against them, one charge against each of them, and hearing their names, their identities, where they live, and the background of the case, which objectively is clearly quite harrowing.
Harrowing puts it lightly. This is really shocking stuff. But thank you. At least you're there, so we'll get the updates from you. Has there been any word on the boy's family, relatives, or anything, or is this just a homeless person that was just picked up from there? Do you have any information at all on anything about this young boy that they brought over?
According to the prosecution, they found this boy off the streets of Lagos. He was homeless and they brought him here under the guise of offering him a better life. However, the defense say that there is far more to this story that meets the eye. They didn't go into more details in terms of the identity of this boy, who his parents are, if he had any type of consent from his own family in order to bring him over to the United Kingdom. We didn't get that far. So for now, all we can take is what the prosecution have said, which is this is a 15-year-old who was brought here under false pretenses, believed he was coming to the United Kingdom for a better life, only to find out that he was here for his kidney in order for the Ekwerimadu's daughter to have a new chance at life, being that she is gravely ill and currently receiving dialysis. But in terms of the identity of the child, because he is underage and 15 years old, his identity will not be made public. It's unclear whether or not he will make any type of appearance if the case gets that far. But as it stands now, this is a child who, according to the prosecution, is brought over from Nigeria, given an illegally obtained passport which showed his age to be 21 rather than the 15 that he says he is. Whether or not his age has been independently corroborated or verified, we haven't heard that yet. All we've got to go by is what the prosecution has said, which is he is 15 years old and brought here under false pretenses.
Adefemi, I mean, this is you've unfolded something here. What kind of subplots going down the line is this going to open up? Is this going to open up subplots about Nigeria's medical facilities, about the number of homeless children on the streets of Nigeria, children out of school, human trafficking? I mean, how far does this go with what this story brings out, the conversations that are to be had going down the line, since this is a high-level politician that's involved here?
Rotus, according to the charges, they center on exploitation. And it's clear that at this point, we have to continue reminding the public that these are just charges. Yeah, there have been no convictions, no pleas have even been entered. So as it stands now, it's still very, very early on, but it does beg questions about health, of course. At the center of this story, aside from this alleged victim, is the daughter of this family who is gravely ill and is in desperate need of a kidney. And again, aside from the story pertaining to this 15-year-old boy, when the Ekweremadus were arrested at Heathrow Airport on Tuesday, it's believed that they were trying to board a plane to Istanbul, Turkey, where authorities say that they've seen messages and pictures showing that, or leading them to believe that the family were in the process of procuring another kidney from a donor in Turkey, which is why they were on their way there, and could be the reason why Ekweremadu, the former deputy Senate president, was in possession of $20,000 in cash.
Adefemi Akisa, Arise International correspondent, thank you so much for bringing us up to speed. Very in-depth reporting from you on this incredibly shocking story coming out of the UK. Thank you so much, and we'll keep coming back to you for more updates. Really appreciate your insights. All right, that's going to do it for the Global Business Report. Do stay tuned to Arise News. From all of us, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for your company. I'm Rotus Odiri. Take care.